How's it going, guys? My name is Franco and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing our monthly analysis for the month of January 2026. So happy new year to everybody, and yeah, let's just jump straight into the charts. But of course, before we do, remember, guys, to hit that subscribe button. We're hoping for 2026 to be at least a somewhat successful year on the YouTube channel. We'll see how we go. Hopefully I don't give up halfway through like I did last year, but you know, lots of good things to post this year, in my opinion, you know, and we'll see how the crypto market evolves throughout the year. But let's jump straight into the charts, have a look and see what our predictions are, you know, of course, for 2026, what we think things are doing right now. So if you guys have been following for the channel for, you know, whoever knows how long, right, you know, we've been following this 4-year cycle for quite a while now, and following the timing in the market. You know, we are firmly of the belief we are now in you know, what is the red box, or the down year of the 4-year cycle. You can see this is repeated numerous times. 1 year down, sort of 2 years across back to the prior all-time high, and then 1 year parabolic. 1 year down, 2 years across, 1 year parabolic, 1 year down, 2 years across, 1 year parabolic. I know that doesn't look very parabolic, but we are in logarithmic mode. So yeah, this year, I guess you could say, has been, or this cycle has been, somewhat of a disappointment if this is the top, and we'll have a look at some of those charts later as well. But you know, everything that we are looking at suggests that this is probably the top. I think we've seen enough play out in this cycle. We've seen everything we sort of wanted to see. We're also seeing some new things, and something I've been following for quite a while now is just this big RSI downtrend. You can see that this has just essentially continued. So what this is basically RSI bearish divergence on the monthly time frame. So this is something that I want to follow sort of, you know, a lot more longer time frame, you know, a lot longer. This is going to take years and years to play out, of course, because this, you know, this trend line essentially goes back to 2011. But when the price is going up and the RSI is going down, that is just, you know, 101 bearish divergence. So what that suggests is that, you know, the market is due for a downturn. And when you're talking about a yearly, monthly, you know, RSI divergence, it suggests that it's going to be, you know, a monthly or a yearly you know, price correction. It's not a short term, it's not on the 5-minute chart, this is on the monthly chart. So that's something I've been watching. You can also see there is also this short term one just here, you know, just those 1, 2, 3, that is also suggesting you know, things are possibly getting too hot. You can see whilst the market continued to run up, the RSI actually continued down, suggesting relative weakness in the market. So I think there's, you know, enough that has happened, and they're starting to see some technical indicators suggest that this is likely the top. There's more things that we want to see, of course, to confirm that this is indeed the start of a bull market, that being, you know, a close and lower high below the swing low. That would, you know, basically create, you know, the lower low, and then, you know, you are likely to see a lower high as well. Whereas so far this entire cycle we've had higher low, higher high, 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 and we're looking now at that's essentially just changing. So yeah, we, you know, as we said, our opinion is that the writing's on the wall. You know, you'll hear the contrary argument that, you know, none of the 30 super duper indicators have hit, therefore the bull market is not done. You know, you look at, I've just pulled up random plans, like I don't know what these are. This is probably not a good one. Stock to flow model, this is a popular one. At least in the past, you can see that obviously we're nowhere near the stock to flow price model target of about 300,000. I don't think we're going to hit that. I don't think these, you know, these super duper charts don't work forever. Unfortunately, if they did, everyone would use them. You can see, you know, we haven't crossed the green line as of yet, so, you know, can't really go off of that. What other, you know, things are there? There's all these different charts that, you know, you can look at and you can say, well, this hasn't happened, it's happened every single time, you know, in the past. But that's okay. It looks like we're so frozen right now. Oh, here we go. You can see here, oh, well, every single cycle, you know, we've ran up into the, you know, the red zone on the, actually not every single time. You can see last cycle we didn't, but the majority of the time, you know, we run up into the red zone, and this time it hasn't happened, so therefore the top isn't in. You'll hear all those sort of things, and my opinion is that these charts are basically, these are a good one, right? You run up into the red almost every single time, but not this time. That means the top isn't in. When, in my opinion, these charts basically waiting to just break down, right? They, all good things come to an end. These charts, will flash correctly ever so often, right? But they'll also have times where they're incorrect, and that's something that's bound to happen, right? Is that these charts get it wrong, and it's more than likely there's going to be this cycle that we do see things get it wrong. So let's continue down. We'll go into the daily chart now for Bitcoin. At the end of last month, we were talking about the possibility of a bull trap. This was like right up around here. You can see that we pretty well rebounded from this. Sorry, here's it. I can't use my words right now. Oh my God. But basically, this was a 50%. This is the 50% level of this range. So came up, bottomed, came up, retested the 50% very nicely. Obviously got rejected. I still think there's a good possibility that we come up and retest 100,000. I think there's also a very good possibility that we come and test the 50-week moving average, which you can see is this yellow line here. So it wouldn't surprise me if we sort of came up, tested 100K, test the 50-week moving average, continue lower, something like that. You'll see if we go back to every, oh, don't move that line. If we go back to prior cycles, you do see, once you break through, you come up, retest the 50-week moving average, and then continue lower. It's not abnormal to see. If we go back to the cycle prior, you can see, bounce off the 50%. Oh, sorry, this is the 50-week, go below, close, retest, and get rejected, right? So it's happened quite a few times where we come up and retest the 50-week moving average. I think it will happen at some point. Will it happen like this in the next coming weeks? Maybe not. Maybe it'll be at a lower price or something like that. But, I would keep this in the back of your mind for a sort of short-term bullish case. Long-term, still bearish, right? Still, leaning towards, long-term things going down. As you can see, this will just be essentially a bull trap, right? Or something like that. So that's what we're looking at in the very short term, but still long term, considering this a downtrend. And last month we were sort of talking about with ETH, possibly the same thing, right? If Bitcoin's going to have a bull trap, you could expect this on some other tokens such as ETH, right? Coming up, retesting the 50%, something like that. I haven't changed this since last month. There hasn't been really enough time to suggest anything different. So, ETH could do a similar story. I still think same thing again, long term, probably all done and dusted, but wouldn't be surprised to see a sort of short term bull trap and then continue lower. As for Crow, as my good friend Adele once said, is this the end? I think so, right? We've sort of spoken about this quite a bit, that, technically speaking, we have seen enough, sort of repetition from the prior cycle to say this could be the top, this could be everything that we see. So I should take this off logarithmic because a lot of these lines don't work when it's not in logarithmic. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4 push-ups, 1, 2, 3, 4 push-ups, right? Exact same thing. Did we, of course, last cycle was great, almost ran to $1, fantastic. That, just because it does it once, and this is what we're talking about with these charts, right? Just because it has happened in the past, doesn't mean it has to happen the exact same again. It's going to rhyme, it's going to repeat in some sense, right? We've still got the 4-wave pattern, but this time around, it looks like it's going to be getting sent lower. And if we zoom all the way in, you can see that it just looks like it's just breaking down continuously at this point in time. So not a token I'd be looking to buy, and hold. Of course, we spoke about buying and holding in the past, right? When we were talking about this being the bottoming pattern, which it was. But now that we've had some big run-ups, some big opportunities to sell, this token is essentially dead. So is this the end for Crow? At least in the short term. Short to medium to, I guess it depends what you consider long term, right? Next few years, probably just checking out of this token for me. As for some other fan favorites such as Solana, once again, we have nothing's really changed in the last month, unfortunately. I wish something had and we could talk about some more, but it is largely the same as last month, where essentially, we're looking at this as possibly just being sort of now, lower high, lower low, possibly looking to put in another lower low at some point. Of course, could this rally up again similar to ETH and Bitcoin? If ETH and Bitcoin find some strength, I think that's possible. But I do think for Solana, once again, this is another one. I'm not very confident in crypto as a whole at the moment, unless Bitcoin does something drastic to convince me otherwise. I am not looking at Solana. I'm essentially not looking at any altcoins, right? So at this point in time, me personally, not interested in Solana, not really interested in any altcoins at this point in time. So you're probably thinking, Franco, like, obviously we're not buying any cryptos, right? We're not doing anything crypto wise. We're just selling. We're all doom and gloom. So what? Yeah, obviously people want to do something with their money in the market. Could you short the market, short Bitcoin on a trading platform? I guess you could. If you wanted to have conviction that way. Me personally, I haven't really done too much, longer term shorts of the market. So where do you put your money? You can consider short term trading, although me personally, I'm not confident or experienced enough to sort of go into more short term trading in that regard. So that's something you could consider. You can consider other alternative markets. Obviously, this is where it gets really tricky now. So we're looking at gold. Could you consider going to an asset like gold? Well, I would say gold has run up exceptionally well to the point. This looks parabolic to me, right? This is on a logarithmic chart as well. Like you take it off logarithmic, it's even more parabolic, right? That is not the sort of chart I want to be investing in. If we go to stocks, what do we, do we buy Tesla? Tesla's at all-time highs. Could we buy, Nvidia? Well, Nvidia's essentially, also at all-time highs. I mean, a few weeks ago it was at an all-time high, right? Apple, what's Apple doing? Same thing again, essentially at an all-time high. Just a few weeks ago it was at an all-time high. So essentially the market's running extremely hot. And there's not sort of 2025, in my opinion, was such a good year for assets across the board that 2026 could still be a good year. It won't be as good as 2025, in my opinion. So me personally, I'm just looking at more sort of niche opportunities such as short-term trading, those sort of things, and also just looking at possible cash. Like I know it's sort of not the popular thing to say, but we could be looking at a time where cash might be king, sort of coming up around the corner. Interest rates could go up as well, which may not only spook the market, but boost potential income for those holding cash. So it's a bit of a tricky period in my opinion. I want to see some more validation one way or the other. To sort of, I mean, obviously I'm bearish on the crypto market. I'm not particularly bullish or bearish on like stocks, right? Like SPX, load. Like I'm not particularly bullish or bearish on the stock market. I'm tripping out. S and B was funds. S&P, there we go. Like obviously, I don't know what these lines are. Obviously, the S&Ps perform very well. Would I consider something like that? Sort of like a real tricky sort of situation in my opinion, where where I personally think most things are probably slightly overvalued. There are probably niche opportunities in the market, and I'm all for you guys going out and finding them. Figure out what that opportunity is. It could be any sort of company that random company, single stocks, things like that. But in general, I think most things are sort of inflated at this point in time. And maybe it's not 2026, but I think one of the next few coming years is definitely going to be a cash is king sort of year. So take that with what you will. Obviously that covers our crypto analysis for the month and sort of gives you guys a bit of a hint as to what I think might come in 2026. Will it be a bad year for crypto? I personally do think so. I don't think it'll be very pretty. Will it be a bad year for stocks and gold and those sort of things? It may not be as good as 2025, but I also don't think it's going to be, I don't think this is going to be the big recession year just yet either. But then again, that's how those things work, right? When it, recessions and big market downturns happen when you least expect them, when everyone's super bullish and super sort of, I guess, overly optimistic, right, is when those things sort of happen. So bit of food for thought for you guys. So we've been going now. I think we've been going now for a sufficient amount of time to sort of give you guys my thoughts on the market for this month. If anything changes, like, I'd be happily proven wrong, see the market pump, that would be fantastic, right? But as I said, I think cash is coming or going to slowly start to become king again, in my opinion. Or, there will be some other assets that will perform well. But very good year what 2025 was. So it leaves me a little bit cautious personally, but do what you guys will. If you did enjoy this video, please feel free to hit that subscribe button. We are pushing for 10 billion subs this year, so if we can help achieve that goal, that would be much appreciated. If you do enjoy this content, we do also do like reviews and different things. There's a whole bunch of different things. So if you guys are just remotely into crypto or YouTube and sort of what we do here, please feel free to subscribe and check out the other videos. Feel free to also use the referral link. I'm going to mute this because I'm going to hear myself. Referral link in the description below if you are looking to sign up to any exchanges. You get $10 worth of free Bitcoin, or if you're looking to do taxes, something like that, please feel free to check out those and see what they're all about. That's all for today, guys. So thank you all for watching. I'll see you in the next one.